So mga kabanat, sa bahagi na itong na video na ito na ginawang pagdinig sa COA at kasama dito yung Department of Health kasi sila yung target ngayon dito ng COA na silang pinakamalaking may budget sa panahon natin dahil nga sa kanila lahat dumadaloy ang pera ngayon ng taong bayan dahil nga dito sa pandemya na ito. So ngayon ay dito sa tanong ni Senador Kiko Pangilinan, tila na checkmate dito si Secretary Duque. Sa bahagi kasi ng tanong ni Senador Kiko Pangilinan, sino-sino yung kasama nyo na nagdesisyon na ang pera na 42 billion ilipat? Mantakin mong sagot ni Secretary Duque, pabalang. Talagang makikita mo na mayroon talaga mga kabanat na mayroon talagang baho na natatago. Mayroon talaga. So, panoorin nyo ito mga kabanat at kayo nang humusga dito, no? So, yan.
Napag-usapan din ito sa NTF. Sino sa NTF ang nagrekomenda kasama sa pagre-rekomenda na ilipat ang 42 billion purchases sa DBMPS? Sino-sino?
Nagkaroon kasi kami nung at that time, Your Honor, although syempre
Pangalan po ang hinihingi natin sa NTF.
To get the much needed personal protective equipment and other life-saving supplies. We had no suppliers, very few, if any, that could not meet the volumes that we needed to mount an effective response to the pandemic. And this was even more compelling because nung February, March, nung nag-umpisang magkaroon na po tayo ng mga kaso, ay talagang yung mga suppliers natin dati na kung saan nagpo-procure ang inyong DOH, halos talagang wala na po silang kakayahan na mag-supply dahil unang-una nung January nagkaroon po tayo ng Taal volcano eruption. Doon pa lang po naubos yung ating pong stocks of mga face mask at kanya talagang very acute yung ating pong situation and nag-umpisa na po ang pandemya sa atin at kinailangan po natin na bigyan proteksyon lalong-lalo na ang ating pong mga healthcare workers na sila po ang direktamenteng nangalaga ng ating pong mga COVID patients. Plus, ganun din po sa ating mga mamamayan na nangangailangan din po ng mga protective equipment. Yung pong PSDBM naman may mandato to procure even from international suppliers. Kanya minabuti namin na sila lang po siguro ang kayang makatulong sa ating pong matinding pangailangan noong panahon na yon at hanggang ngayon ganun pa din. Salamat po. Salamat po, Mr. Chairman.
Nabanggit nyo kanina, of course, inamin po ninyo, kayo ang nagdesisyon, pero nabanggit ninyo na napag-usapan din ito sa NTF. Sino sa NTF ang nagrekomenda kasama sa pagre-rekomenda na ilipat ang 42 billion purchases sa DBMPS? Sino-sino?
Nagkaroon kasi kami nung at that time, Your Honor, although syempre
pangalan po ang hinihingi natin sa NTF. Nabanggit niyo ang NTF. Sino-sino po sa NTF ang nagrekomenda kasama po ninyo sa pagdesisyon at nagrekomenda sa inyo na ilipat sa DBMPS yung 42 billion?
Ayaw mo banggit ni Dodong, tinan mo. Ayaw mo pa corner.
Pwede ho natin, Mr. Chairman, to recognize Secretary Charlie Galvez, who is the NTF Chief Implementer.
Mr. Chairman, good Secretary, you admitted that you made the decision, so you know who you spoke with. So why have Mr. Secretary Galvez participate or be the one to answer? We want the answer from you. It was your decision, and you said the NTF discussed it. So you have personal knowledge as to who were part of the discussion. So please inform us, this committee, as to who among those in the NTF recommended the transfer of the DBMP to DBMPS of the 42 billion. We just want the facts, Mr.
Yeah, well,
we We are not making any accusations. We just want the facts.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, pinag-usapan po namin yan uh, with the NTF chief implementer, and then also we at the time ang ating testing czar, si Secretary Vince Dizon, some IATF members, I can't recall. It was during this time also that the president had ordered us to make sure that there will be sufficient supplies for our pandemic response. Without, of course, saying kung saan dapat bibilhin ito, except for sa amin, we trust the DBM and its attached agencies. And so, yun po ang naging dahilan na doon po namin hiningian ng suporta ang PSDBM para tugunan yung pangangailangan. Yun lang po, salamat.
Tinatanong natin yan dahil nga sa previous hearings, sinabi ng ating ilang mga senador na may kausap sila sa DOH na sinasabing kaya naman ng DOH gawin itong purchases na ito. Tinatanong din natin yan dahil gusto nating malaman bakit napakalaking pondo nga ang nilipat. So this was your decision as Secretary of Health to transfer the 42 billion procurement of items to the DBMPS from the DOH budget. With the recommendation of the NTF, did you consult the DBMPS? Was there a recommendation from the DBMPS in this regard?
Your Honor, as I have said earlier, mandato po nila ito at kami po talagang we tried. Ngayon, kaya namin na mag-procure dahil may supplies, nag-stabilize na ang world supply chain. But at that time, talagang walang-wala po eh. Talagang hirap na hirap kami. In fact, we were so
Pulong ba kayo, Mr. Secretary? Nagkaroon ba kayo ng pagpupulong with the DBM Secretary Abisado or DBMPS Head Christopher Lao before you made the decision? Nagkaroon ba kayo ng pag-uusap?
Yes, I think so. May mga pag-uusap kami but I just can't recall the exact time.
Doon sa mga pag-uusap na yun, sino pa ang nakausap ninyo? So nakausap ninyo si DBM Secretary Abisado at I assume he also said okay, ilipat sa DBMPS, no? And I assume kausap niyo si Christopher Lao at siya rin sinabi niya, okay, pwede pong ilipat sa amin yan. Tama po ba yon?
Tama po yan. Yung
Okay.
aming pong paglilipat ng mga pondo, hindi po one time. Ito po ay in several periods of mga dates na amounts, no, depending on what we needed at a particular point in the pandemic response.
So kasama din po si dating Secretary Abisado at si Christopher Lao doon sa pagpasya, no, na mailipat yung 42 billion mula po sa inyong tanggapan para sa DBMPS. Tama po yun?
Tama po yun.
Okay, salamat po. My next question is with Mr. Lao. Is he still around?
Present, Mr. Chair. Present, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Mr. Lao, are you in the Philippines?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm at home.
So you are in Manila because there was information going around that you left the country. So that is not true.
Not true, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thank you. When the decision to transfer the amounts on a staggered basis or on tranches, in tranches rather, to the DBMPS, the entire 42 billion eventually was transferred under your watch. Is that not right?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that is correct.
And you confirm and the earlier manifestation of Secretary Duque that you were part of that process of decision making and that you agreed to the transfer of the amounts totaling 42 billion to the DBMPS. That is right.
Mr. Chair, I think initially I'm not part of the IATF NTF. PSTBM will only cannot make a decision whether we will accept or not the transfer of funds. It should have a legal basis, and I think that decision making is through BBM and GPPB, the government procurement.
You mean to say, Mr. Lau, you cannot refuse when an amount is turned over to you?
When
You
it is
you can
considered common
refuse?
supplies, we can refuse. If it's considered non-common supplies,
Yes. In other words, you have discretion to accept or to reject depending on whether it is legal or not. You cannot do something that is illegal, hindi ba?
Mr. Chair, if it is
And if it is illegal, well, just let me complete my. And if it is illegal, isn't it your duty to refuse?
yes, Mr.
You are a
Chair.
lawyer.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Of course, Of course, your explanation is it was legal, therefore you accepted it. Hindi
Yes,
ba?
Mr. Chair.
Okay, yes. But the point is, if there is something illegal, you have the duty to refuse. If assuming it is illegal, hindi po ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Because you are not in office to do illegal acts. Hindi ba? That's why we take an oath of office. Hindi ba? To uphold and defend the Constitution and to respect and obey and comply with the rules and the regulations and the laws. Hindi ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
And therefore, if to your mind it was illegal, of course you're saying it is not. But if it was an illegal act, you have the power, you have the authority, and you have the duty, di ba, to reject and to
Yes,
refuse.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, but I go back because sabi kanina ni Secretary Duque, kasama din kayo sa pag-decide, kasama din kayo sa nag-okay na tanggapin. And that's why I just wanted that established. Tinanggap ninyo. Sa paniniwala na legal, sabihin na natin yon. Kahit na sabihin na natin ngayon, may nagsasabi at may datos na nagpapakita na mukhang questionable, at that point, di ba, you had the option to reject or to accept it based on whether it is legal or not. Hindi ba?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Earlier, you said, you were quoted in the newspaper saying that the prices were high because supply was limited. Tama po ba yon?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
In other words, 13 pesos, 20. So, pero yun nga, nabanggit kanina, bakit yung isa 13 pesos lang, yung isa 27 pesos lang? Pero sabi nga ninyo, dahil supply was limited. In an earlier hearing, the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee manifested that at the same time that you were purchasing the 13 peso and 27 peso masks, the Red Cross was buying it at 5 pesos. How do you explain that?
I cannot explain that, Mr. Chair. I think the only thing that I can check, Mr. Chair, is that maybe Red Cross.
So, pasensya na guys, talagang hindi kaya ng signal namin dito. Mahina talaga yung signal. Kahit nga record na lang ito, tila nagbabuffer pa, no? So, abangan nyo na ito bukas siguro ng umaga. Mamayang madaling araw kasi mas maganda mag-download kasi haba-haba ng video na ito, no? So ngayon naka-live pa sila. Ni-record ko lang itong discussion kanina na sa pagtatanong ni Kiko Pangilinan kay Duque at makikita natin, no, na talagang may matindi talagang dapat investigasyon dito at dapat may managot talaga dito. Hindi yung ginagawa ni President Duterte, tinagtatakpan pa ito si Secretary Duque. Hayag-hayaga naman na mayroon talaga siya Mayroon talaga na may mga kalukuhan talaga mga kabanat dito. So, yan ang opinion ko. Like at pa-share yung ating video. At sana support pa rin dahil napansin ko tila hindi nyo na ata gusto yung channel na ito. Kasi nung na-suspended ako, 7 days, tila ngayon nung upload ako kahapon, medyo tamlay yung ating views. Parang wala. Parang nagsiglayasan na o kumbaga nagsigtakbuhan na. Hindi lang tayo naka-upload ng 7 days, tila nagsiliparan na yung mga natin. So yan ang aking So maraming salamat.